episode 8 of Flax Golden Knits, a podcast about knitting. My name is Kristen and I live in Nashville, Tennessee with my husband and our 2 kitty cats. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Flax Golden Knits. And I do hope you will say hi in one of those 2 places or down below in the comments section. I do try to reply to everyone eventually. I'm sorry, it's been taking me a little while lately. It has been a while since I've done a proper podcast, and I'd like to say welcome to any new viewers and welcome back to any returning viewers. Let's jump right in. I have no show notes today. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants because I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and record a podcast because it's been too long and I just started to build up all of this. You know, when I'm a perfectionist and sometimes I can want things to be so perfect that I procrastinate doing them because the right conditions don't exist. And there are just never going to be any perfect conditions to record this first podcast episode back. So let's just go ahead and get started. I do have a finished object. I'm so excited. Here we go. You probably know what this is, especially if you follow me on Instagram. But look what I have for you. Isn't it so pretty? It's my Stay Soft shawl. It's a pattern by Veera Valimaki. And I love it so much. I've worn it almost every day since I finished it. And I get so many compliments on it. Like, it's such a simple pattern, but I get so many compliments on this thing. People are just love the colors and they think it looks so layered and complicated, and I am in love with this shawl. So it took me forever. If I'm being honest, I cast on for this thing for the first time in November of last year, and it is now March and I just finished it because I feel like you've heard all of this before, but just to completely recap this whole thing, yeah, I didn't like the first 3 yarns that I chose for various reasons, and then the second 3 yarns that I chose, 2 of them weren't working as well together as I thought they would. They were just too close in tone, so there wasn't enough contrast between them. So this is what I ended up with. This first one is Woolen Boon, in their MCN base, and it is Robin Sparkles, the colorway. The second color that is striped in here and then ends here, this is by Old Rusted Chair, which is a Nashville yarn dyer, and that is in their Shipwreck colorway. And then this is also Old Rusted Chair at the bottom there, and that's in the bell bottom colorway. I love this color so much, but look, like I own 2 mustard yellow sweaters. I can't really wear this with the mustard yellow sweater. So yeah, I need to knit some gray sweaters or some just different colored sweaters. I think a berry color would also be really pretty with all 3 of these. Or like a rust color. Anyway, I'm so excited about it. I didn't really have many problems with the pattern other than just getting the yarns right, and I was saying on my last episode that I had a little bit of trouble getting the I-cord edging started because I haven't done a lot of I-cord edgings, and I'll show you. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Yeah. Haven't done a lot of I-cord edgings, and I didn't realize what was going on until I had knit a few repeats, and then I just needed to rip it back, and because I also didn't like the way this was looking along the picked up stitches, and so I did that differently than the pattern said. I picked up, instead of picking up on the purl bump like the pattern says, I picked up in between the rows. And it made that nice little kind of eyelet all the way. I don't know if you can see that. It made the nice little eyelet all the way down. And yeah, and then it has an I-cord bind off along this edge. Yeah. So there you go. Whoops. There you have it. It is gorgeous, and I love it so much, and it's so squishy, but it's not too heavy. It's just exactly what I wanted, and it's so springy, you know? Oh, even the back side, like that's the back. I think, actually, I'm not positive if the stripes are supposed to be the right side or if if the back is supposed to be the right side. You know what I mean? Because look at that. They both look really pretty. And so I think it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Yay! It feels so good to get that off my needles. It just feels good to finish something and to finish a project that I've been working on for such a long time. It just feels really good. So, after I finished that, even though I had other things on the needles and other simple things on the needles, I just felt kind of at sea. Just kind of like set loose, untethered, and drifting. So, since it is springtime and almost Easter, I decided to knit some bunny nuggets. So I have some bunny nuggets. Oh my goodness, I've wanted to knit these for years. And there are their little tails. They're so cute. They are so cute. This one's, look at his ears. One is drastically longer, like dramatically longer than the other. Anyway, it's like a family portrait. Anyway, I've wanted to knit bunny nuggets for years, and I never catch it like at Easter, which I know that you don't have to knit the bunny nuggets around a certain, like you don't have to knit the bunny nuggets at springtime, but for some reason it's just always felt like a springtime activity, and I never remembered at the right time of year. So this year I definitely decided to knit some bunny nuggets at springtime, or I thought about it at the right time of year for my brain, and I decided to just do it because I needed like some little quick things to just I don't know, just a palette cleanser, I guess. Anyway, I've already given a couple of them away to a little girl, one of my friend's daughters, and this is hers also. I gave her 3 of them, but I hadn't finished this one yet. It only had 1 ear when she was over the other day. So, and I totally forgot to put the tails on the other ones. So I've got to make the tails and get her mom to sew them on. And then I have another one and 1 more on the needles that I will finish up tonight. They're so quick. I've been lollygagging, as my mom would say. But they're so quick, and I did alter the pattern. I want to tell you how I altered the pattern a little bit, just for my own convenience sake. And that is that I think she has you cast on an open bottom and knit up, and instead I cast on I guess like an open bottom, like as if you were making a cuff down sock. So you would have, you know, it would be open and you'd be knitting up, like up the leg of the sock or whatever, or down the leg of the sock. And instead I do a Turkish cast on and knit like a little tube or like a little pocket up. And then I do the decreases, and then I sew the little face on. He's so cute. And then I stuff him right through his head hole. And then so for this one, I Kitchenered across until I had 6 stitches left, and then I did used those 6 stitches on this side to do an I-cord and, you know, knit the little ear, and then I picked up 6 stitches over here and knit the I-cord over here. So it was all just attached, and I didn't have all the separate pieces and then was sewing them on. I just did it all, you know, together, and then it was all done. And I've got to show you, so I'm sure you've seen these before, but I'm gonna show you anyway. So, and then to make the pom-poms, I am terrible at making pom-poms. Like, I just have no talent for it. My grandmother can make a pom-pom with like a piece of cardboard and some yarn, and they're beautiful and perfect, and I don't have that talent. So when I was at Fancy Tiger Crafts back at New Year's, and I saw the clover pom-pom makers, and I just decided, what the heck, I'm going to stop torturing myself with trying to make pom-poms with crappy tools. And I bought myself 4 different sizes of pom-pom maker, and so I'm using this small size. I think they might even make smaller pom-pom makers than this, so I might have to invest in some even tinier pom-pom makers at some point. But these things make pom-pom making so easy. Just like it's almost impossible to mess them up. I've given it a good try, but yeah, it's almost impossible to mess them up. And so I just want to say that I highly recommend these pom-pom makers. If you are bad at making pom-poms, if it drives you crazy and you can never get it in a nice ball and like fluffy, and I mean, just look at this guy. Look at that tail. Look at the tail on that guy. I mean, it's a bit big, yeah. It's a bit big. But it's so fluffy and perfect and just really nice. I like it. Highly recommend these clover pom-pom makers. Absolutely. These are the small. And I think I also have the medium. Maybe it's the gigantic one that I don't have, like the big old pom-pom maker. Anywho, so yes, I've been making bunny nuggets. Pardon me. I guess that's a work in progress. I still do have one in progress, and Anyway, maybe we'll call that a hoe. I've never had a hoe on the show before. So, now on to the works in progress. The things that I have been working on. They're all over the place. I'm very disorganized lately. I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but I'm going to try not to go into it too deep. Let's see. Oh, I know what I can show you. I'm very, very excited. I had started these at the last show, and I really haven't made that much progress considering how much time has passed, but it took me a while to get into them after I finished my shawl. I just it's a whole thing, y'all. I'll tell you about it later. But I've made some progress on my socks in space, my speckled space socks. Look at these. They are using Lady Purl Designs yarns. She has an Etsy shop, and I'll link to that. She does lots of kind of nerdy yarns, like fandom yarns. She does lots of fandom yarns, and these are one of her Star Wars yarns, and these are the Force Awakens colorway. And I think that they are knitting up just so incredibly beautifully in this pattern. I honestly wasn't sure that this pattern was going to look that great with this yarn, but I so loved the idea of knitting the speckled space socks in the Force Awakens colorway that I just had to. But I couldn't have paired it better if I had, if I had tried, which I kind of did try, so I don't know what I'm saying. But I mean, look how nice that is. It's like a little goatee, look at that. Anyway, I'm just loving it. I'm loving these socks. It is, the Speckled Space socks are a free pattern, and I can't remember the name of the designer. I'm very sorry. Like I said, I have no notes, and I have a very bad memory, so I'm knitting this in the 64 stitches. They are obviously toe up. That's how the pattern is written. The pattern is free on Ravelry, and I highly recommend it. I know I'm only that far, so I've just gotten to one pattern repeat. One pattern repeat done, but I have to say it is really easy to memorize this pattern. I mean, not just like memorize it like you don't ever have to just check and make sure that you're in the right space. I mean, maybe like once, but I mean, like on the second row, I already kind of had the gist of, the second pattern row, I already had the gist of what was going on. It looks more complicated than it is. So if anyone is out there looking for a patterned sock, not just vanilla, but they don't want anything like too hard, I highly recommend this pattern. And it's free. I mean, you can't get much better than that. So, yeah. I don't have much more to say about those, but I'm very, very excited. Very excited. They are a little bit slow going though, because my attention span just isn't with them right now. So I can only knit about four rounds, and before I'm just like, I need to do something else. But yeah, well, 4 rounds, that is 2 socks, so technically that's kind of like 8 rounds. So I'm just gonna comfort myself with that thought. Also, I did mention a couple of episodes ago, 2 or 3, that I wanted to just cast on like a plain vanilla sock with some double pointed needles, just to have something to knit in around and around and not have to think too much about. And I was kind of wanting to get back to some double pointed needle knitting, and I did finally do that. Maybe about a week ago I cast this on. And I am knitting this out of Lane Cervinia. I can't remember what the colorway number is, but if you remember my vanilla Valentine socks from several episodes ago, it's the same yarn in a different colorway. And I really like this yarn. It's a little crispy, like it's wool. So it's not soft like merino, but I like that in a sock. So it doesn't bother me. I really like it. And this is as far as I've gotten. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking, and I'm not even showing you what I've done. But I am excited to be knitting a top-down sock, although I have to say, I don't really like having to do the cuff first because I don't like doing the cuff of a sock. And so okay, my camera just shut off while I was recording, and I think I caught it right when it happened, but I hope that I haven't just missed a bunch of stuff. So it's probably about to shut down from overheating, which is what it does. So we'll just see. Anyway, so I have to say, I'm remembering why it has historically taken me such a long time to knit socks in the past. Because doing the cuff first is just so tedious. First of all, and doing double pointed needles is so tedious. Like, it's so fiddly until you get down the sock a ways. It's just so fiddly. And doing the cuff first, like it's doing the, you know, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, to me, this is my opinion, it is tedious. So, yeah, I can only knit like a few rounds before I just like, I can't do it anymore. So it's taking me forever to get this cuff knit. So I don't know how many more, honestly, I don't know how many more one at a time, cuff down, DPN socks I'm going to make. I feel like this is getting really close to my eyeball. I should be more careful. Yeah, so I don't know. In some ways I'm excited to be knitting a cuff down one at a time sock, and in some ways I feel like these socks might not be done until next year sometime. So there you go. And they're just sitting in my knitting basket like this. They don't even have a bag. I don't know, they're kind of like the redheaded stepchild of my knitting projects right now. So the last thing that I have on my needles to show you is something I've been talking about for a very long time. I finally cast on... Manny Moo, what are you doing? What are you doing? I finally cast on my Lorem Ipsum sweater. I'm so excited. This is a pattern by Jennifer Dassau. I don't know if that's how you say her name. I don't know. I just don't know. But that's how I say her name. It's a pattern by Jennifer Dassau. It is a cute. Here, I have the pattern right here. This is the pattern. So it's a little cardigan. It's very kind of, has kind of a lacy eyelet pattern. Very summery cardigan, which is exactly what I need. And I have been swatching for this thing for years, it feels like. Really, it's been about a month, I think. I am using Marion Jade Fiber Arts in the vintage denim colorway. I will try not to fangirl about Marion Jade Fiber Arts this episode like I do just about every other episode. I love her. I will link to her Etsy page in the dingle dangle, doobly doo, down bar, that thing down there, in the show notes. And I mean, I haven't done much. I've literally just cast on and done the setup row. That's it. That's all I've done. I've just put the markers in. But I am excited to have that much done even, honestly. I'm just excited to have it cast on. Let me just walk you through my issues here. So I've talked about these swatches before. The pattern recommends a size US 5 needle over 20 stitches equals 4 inches. 20 stitches in 32 rows, I think, equals 4 inches. Well, my size 5 needles gave me 3.25 inches. So I went down, no, so I did go down, but because I didn't gauge this right, I didn't finish knitting the swatch before I measured it, and if you will notice, the bottom where I started is much wider than the top. We talked about this last time. So I measured before my tension evened out to my sort of my regular normal tension. So I thought that it was going to be too big. So I went down, or yes, I went down to a size 4 needle. Well, the size 4 needle gave me 3 inches. So I went up to a size 6 needle, and this time I was so tired of swatching that I just knit exactly the 4 inches, well, and some stitches on all around for just to have it lay flat, and that gave me 3.5. Yeah, so that's size 6. That's size 6 needles, and that gave me 3.5 inches over, yeah, instead of 4. So I started to go up to a size 8 needle because I got 3 on size 4s, 3.25 on size 5s, and 3.5 on size 6. So, you know, that's a quarter of an inch increase per needle size. So I thought, well, I guess I should probably try a size 8. I did not like the fabric that I was getting with a size 8. So I decided to stick with a size 6. I like this fabric, and it's a very, it's a very stretchy fabric. So I decided, instead of getting gauge, I decided that I would, where did the pattern go? Oh, here it is. I decided instead of going up to the needle I needed to get gauge, I was going to outsmart the pattern, and I am going to knit 2 sizes up. I did the math, and I think that that's going to work for me. So we shall see. Yeah, we shall see. I might be getting myself into a boatload of trouble. Wouldn't be the first time, but I think that that's going to work out. Fingers crossed. And that is all of my works in progress. And let's see. So we have a bit of admin news to talk about, don't we? 2 episodes ago, I introduced the idea that we should do a knit-along. And I threw out 2 knit-along ideas, and one of them everybody really liked. Or everybody, I say like everybody, like just, I have so many people watching my podcast and commenting. I don't. Everybody as in like me and 3 other people. So, we are going to do the Wall of Shawls knit along, which I am so excited about. I was hoping that everybody would like the idea, and it turns out that 3 people is enough to equal everybody. So we have a little visitor who has come to visit us. Her name is Frances. She is our kitty cat who has been sick, and she's just very needy and needs lots of love and attention lately. So I'm gonna let her sit on my lap for a little bit while I talk to you about the Wall of Shawls knit along. It is one of my goals to have a wall of shawls. I was watching, so a little history behind the Wall of Shawls idea is that I was watching an old episode of Mustache Yarns podcast, or the Mustache podcast with Stacy and Supa Stuff. It's a podcast that finished up in 2014, and I just discovered it last year. So I was watching them, and in whatever episode I was watching, I didn't watch all of them because I was having trouble loading them. So I'm not sure if you can actually still watch all of them. Because like I said, it went off the air. They stopped making them back in, I think, 2014, so it was a while ago. Anyway, when I was watching one of the episodes, I noticed that behind them, it was like all of these shawls hung up on hooks, and it just looked like it was so pretty, all of the different shawls and the different yarns and colors, and I thought at that moment, I need a wall of shawls like that. And so it's one of my goals, one of my knitting goals, to make like enough shawls for myself that I can hang them all up on hooks and have a wall of shawls. So that's where the idea of the Wall of Shawls came from. And I thought that that would make a good knit along. Because even though shawls is one of those things that lots of knitters make lots of, I just finished like this. I made one shawl for my mother-in-law for Christmas a couple of years ago, but other than that, the Stay Soft shawl that I just finished, that's my very first shawl that I made for myself that I'm keeping. And I need more. I need more. I was definitely missing having shawls this winter. I have several cowls that I really love, but I don't have any shawls. So I'm very excited to kick off this knit along. And I did toy around with the idea of making it retroactive, so that we started at the beginning of 2018. But I think instead of doing that, I want to just start at April 1st. But because I want it to be kind of a year-long knit-along, what I want to do is, if there's anything that you've already finished before April 1st, that doesn't qualify to enter for a prize, but I want to make it so that anything that you already have on your needles come April 1st as a shawl, then that counts. As long as you finish it in 2018, that will count to enter for a prize. And so, even if you cast on 2 years ago, as long as you finish it in 2018, that counts. And those are going to be the rules. And really anything that would be called a shawl, like anything, if you did a Ravelry search for shawls, of any shape, size, weight of yarn, as long as it is classified on Ravelry as a shawl, let's count that as a shawl. And it can be knit or crochet or what have you, as long as it is a shawl. And I am so excited. I can't wait to see what everybody makes. So yeah, I have not yet done this, but I'm going to create a Ravelry group. I'm going to try my darndest to have it ready, set up, ready to go by April 1st, which is this Sunday. It's Easter, y'all. And so yeah, and I will also be doing an introduction thread. And so I would like for everybody to introduce themselves. And what I want to do is I want to give away some patterns. So not for entries for the Wall of Shawls, but I'm going to set up, like I said, an introduction. I want people to introduce themselves, and we'll give it maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then I will draw for names, or draw for, and then I will do a drawing, and I will be giving away some shawl patterns. And I think that really, okay, so I'm honestly, like, I had this idea, but I didn't write it down and figure out all of the details. I'm just kind of like, this is all coming off the top of my head, you guys. So bear with me. But I think what I want to do is introduce yourself, say hello, and then I will draw in. Is 2 weeks enough? Is 2 weeks enough, or should it be longer? Let's maybe give me some feedback about that. And I think since I'm not like a big podcast that lots of people know about, I think maybe I should give it just a little bit longer so enough people can get entered. And so then I will draw, and I will give away, I don't know, a handful of patterns, like maybe 4 or 5 so I'll do like draw for 4 or 5 names, maybe 5, and give away a shawl pattern to each of those people to participate in the Wall of Shawls knit along. So maybe once I get the Ravelry group opened up, I will do just a quick little video just letting you guys know, and then letting you know that you can also enter to win the pattern just by saying hello. So yeah, I am very excited, very excited to start a Ravelry group and to get this Wall of Shawls knit along kicked off. I'm just like, I'm so excited. I never thought that I would be this excited about doing my own knit along. It was actually like weighing on me because I've never participated in a knit along before, and it just seemed really overwhelming for some reason. But I feel like the Wall of Shawls knit along is, it's a long enough time period, and it's a broad enough subject matter that, you know, everybody can, unless you just hate shawls or hate knitting shawls, like pretty much everybody can find something to knit and enter for the Wall of Shawls. So I am very excited about it. Francis, you are being a noisy kitty cat. Hi, what's going on with my hair? The end of a day. Hi, I'm back. My camera overheated, so I cooked dinner. And now I'm back to wrap up the podcast. When my camera overheated, I was talking about, I think, the Wall of Shawls knit along, and maybe the say hello drawing for the shawl patterns. So just in case I didn't get all of my points, I'm going to do a quick recap of all of the rules and whatnots. So Wall of Shawls, it's going to officially begin April 1st. I'm going to get a Ravelry group set up for us. Rules for the Wall of Shawls knit along. It's going to go from April 1st through the end of 2018. You cannot enter anything that you have finished prior to April 1st, but you can enter anything that you have cast on anytime before April 1st, 2018, as long as you finish it in the year 2018 after April 1st. So I think that is very fair. As far as prizes are concerned, I'm gonna do a few drawings along the way. I don't know if I'm going to do them for the remaining quarters or how I'm going to do it. Also, I have to gather some prizes up, so just give me some time to figure that out. But there will be multiple, along the way I will draw. Along the way I will draw a few times, so there will be plenty of time to get your shawls done, and you can enter as many shawls as you finish. And I don't care if they are knit or crochet, what yarn weight they are made out of, what shape they are, as long as when you do a Ravelry search and you enter shawl, it is classified as a shawl. And I mean, it doesn't have to be a Ravelry pattern even. It could be a made-up pattern of your own, but just, you know, use your reasoning skills, and as long as it would be classified as a shawl on Ravelry, then you can enter it. No scarves, but it could be a rectangle shawl. Yeah, I trust you guys. I don't think that I'll have to boot anybody's project from the boot, but them's the rules. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We might have to revise along the way. This is my very first knit along of any kind, either participating or throwing. I'm throwing a knit along, hosting. So bear with me and maybe help me out from time to time. I do want to throw out a couple of patterns that if you maybe are a new knitter or you want something pretty easy and straightforward, there are two patterns that I would definitely recommend. The first is the Be Simple shawl. I have made this one. I've finished one of them and I'm in the process of making a second one. I showed you this, I think, in my very first episode, and I haven't really made any more progress on it. It's just, it's kind of one of those grab and go projects for me. But you can make this out of any weight yarn. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. You can make it pretty much out of any weight of yarn. And you make it out of pretty much a single skein of sock yarn or fingering weight or lace weight yarn. So very easy. And there it comes in a couple of different variations. So this one is the one with the eyelets, and there's a solid one that's just solid garter stripe. And yeah, like, it's a good base pattern. You can do anything with it. And yeah, it's a great starter pattern for anybody out there who needs something like that. I would also really highly recommend the Stay Soft shawl by Veera Valimaki that I showed you earlier. It's also a very straightforward pattern. If you haven't done an I-cord edging before, then you might have to get the hang of that. But yeah, it's a paid-for pattern. It's by Veera Valimaki. I will link to it below, and that is also a very beginner-friendly shawl pattern. Those are both asymmetrical triangle kind of shawls. And yeah, other than that, just whatever you want to do. Can be a lacy shawl or like a color block shawl or whatever. I am really excited to see what everybody does. I do not, other than that Be Simple shawl, I do not have a shawl on my needles right now, but I am planning to cast on the Morgan shawl just as soon as I get some yarn for it. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy local or if I'm going to get some yarn online. I haven't decided exactly what I want. I might just run over to House of Yarn and take a look around. Not sure. Anyway, I will hopefully get that cast on soon since this is my knit along. I need to be participating. I guess that is just about it. I just wanted to, I guess kind of, so maybe not apologize, but I guess, okay, so I just wanted to maybe just do a little apology for how lackluster the last 2 episodes were. Like I said many times during those last episodes, I was so tired, and I didn't quite realize how tired until I finally got some time to sleep. And this past weekend, I finally slept, and I slept for most of the day on Saturday and all through the night Sunday, well into Sunday morning. And I don't usually sleep that much. I have a hard time sleeping during the day, but I was just between you know, working full-time and doing the computer coding class that I was doing, and then also trying to keep up with the homework for the computer coding class, and then a few massages thrown in there for good measure. I was just pushing my limits, and when I get very tired, for one thing, my face stops working, like my facial expressions, so like I'm wearing a mask and I cannot move the muscles of my face. So I know that I just looked like so bedraggled the past couple of episodes, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I felt really bad putting them out there, but I had recorded all of that, and I didn't want to get far behind, and then, you know, once you talk about things a couple of times, you forget what you've said, or, yeah, anyway, I just wanted to keep going. I apologize if those were just sheer torture to watch. I'm feeling much better now. I'm feeling like I'm starting to get the ground some ground underneath my feet, and springtime is here, even though it has been so cold and wet and dreary in Nashville for the past couple weeks. It was finally pretty this afternoon, and we know it's coming. The phlox has bloomed. The daffodils have bloomed. The red buds and the cherry trees have bloomed. Our dogwood tree is about to bloom. So yeah, it is all coming along. Also, what was happening is we had a sick kitty cat. Frances McPances, who is our 17-year-old girl cat, she has kidney disease, and she had just it had gotten away from us. We had her on wet food, and we had her on blood pressure medication, we had her on a renal diet, wet food, and we had her on blood pressure medication, but she had gotten dehydrated and had a little bacterial infection, and just kind of went downhill. But she had gotten down to below 7 pounds, and she's a petite kitty, but that's really thin even for a petite kitty, and she used to be our tubby custard. So it was just that all happened, I think, in my last week of classes. She got really sick, and so there was just a lot going on. Now we have her on 3 different types of medication, and we're giving her at-home fluids, which is no so fun. But you know, she's our baby kitty, so she's requiring a lot of extra attention. She just needs somebody to sit and be with her a lot, and giving her those pills every morning is just a fun adventure every day. And yeah, so all of that's been going on. And yeah, I never knew how to talk about this, but I know I've mentioned it before that I deal with depression. And it's something that I'm 39 years old. I've dealt with it since I was 15. It started, and I have tried every antidepressant medication, every anti-anxiety medication, several therapists, and life coaching, and exercise, and affirmations, and it's just like a persistent thing that I deal with. I have, through all of those therapists and reading books and just all of it, I have weeded through a lot of things that I'm sure help other people. I don't want to just discount the lot of it, but I weeded through a lot of things that didn't work for me, and I have learned a lot of coping skills, so that even on my worst days now, I can get out of bed, you know, put on clothes, pull a brush through my hair, go out, do my job. Most of the time, even when things aren't feeling so good, I can go out and be social to some extent. But this year has been difficult. At the end of last year, I started taking a new medication that seemed like it was really working. And then when I got sick in January, if you've watched before, if you know this, but if you haven't, I got sick on the 1st of January 2018. I woke up so sick that I could not sit up to drink water for 2 days. The first 2 days of January, and I was sick. I was really sick for 3 weeks. And then I was feeling better for a week, and then at the beginning of February I got sick again. And I've just, even though I've recovered physically, I never completely mentally recovered. It's just things that just at work have been difficult, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, life is life. You know, like, it's just life. But if you've experienced chronic depression or chronic anxiety, you know that, like, sometimes it's hard to get that, you know, when you go so far off the tracks, it's hard to kind of get it back on. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, it's just been, so it's been, I don't want to say a struggle, it's been what it has been. It's just been busy, and my job at work is shifting, so the ground has felt unsteady under my feet. You know, there have been some things around the house that have been changing and shifting, and so I haven't felt like super secure, and you know, like I felt like things are going on every place. What am I saying? Anyway, yeah, I mean, just for several reasons, just kind of like multiple things have kind of happened this year that have made it difficult for me to sort of regain that momentum and keep a positive outlook, and not kind of fall into some old patterns, I guess. I don't know why, I don't know even why I'm talking about this on this podcast. I guess this is just an explanation of why the podcast has kind of been a little sluggish lately, both in my getting the podcasts out in a timely manner and just in the content. I've just been a little bit meh, just a little meh. I just haven't been feeling great, and so, you know, I'm a very earnest person, a very honest person. Like, it's very difficult for me to hide the way what I'm thinking or the way I'm feeling. Like, everything just, I have no way of, I'm very open. So when things aren't going so well, it's really hard for me to get in front of a camera and be all like happy and putting on a show. And I'm really sorry. Like, I started this podcast knowing that. Like, I knew that I was gonna hit a little rough patch at some point, and this would be an issue. But I guess I just figured that would be down the road further and not in my like 6th and 7th episodes. So anyway, that's it. I am doing better. I'm not 100%, I'm not gonna lie. There are still some difficult days. I had a very difficult week at work last week, and that's okay. You know, but I do have a 4-day weekend coming up this weekend over the Easter holiday, and I am starting to look towards the summer and getting some vacations set up, and it helps for me to have some things on the horizon to look forward to, so that even if things don't feel good in the moment, there is something to point to and count down to, or just something to look forward to, so I can know that a better day is coming up. And so yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it. So this is a really awkward way to end a podcast, by talking about my chronic, persistent depression. But yeah, that's it. I have no way to end this podcast. So we're just gonna sit here and be quiet. Okay, well, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Flax Golden Knits, and I do hope you will say hi. Thank you so much for watching. It is always, even on the worst days, it is always fun to spend some time with you like this. And the imaginary you that lives in my head. So yeah, I will put out a wee video when I get the Ravelry group set up, and there you go. Let's see if I can find a less awkward way to end this podcast. do I have any recommendations? I know that's how Candace of Pin Feathers and Pearls always ends her podcast, but I wonder if there is some recommendation I can give you. Oh, I do. I have a few recommendations actually. So, I don't know if this could be actually considered a recommendation since I am probably the last person on the planet to start reading this series, but I started reading the Outlander series last month. I'm not actually reading, I just want to back this up and specify I am listening to the audiobook. Just got an Audible subscription, and I don't think that it's worth the $14.95. I am not recommending an Audible subscription. It costs $14.95 per month, which is more than Amazon Prime. It's more than Netflix. I think it's more than Hulu. I don't have Hulu. And you only get one single audiobook per month. I mean, unless I'm wrong about that, somebody please correct me if I'm wrong about that, but you only get one audiobook per month for $14.95, and that just doesn't seem worth it. If it were like, I don't know, I guess if it were a streaming service where you could just listen to as many audiobooks as you wanted, or even if you got like a couple, but I don't know, it doesn't seem worth it. So I'm not recommending Audible, but I am recommending the Outlander series. If you like some, I wouldn't call it bodice ripping romance, but it is some hot and heavy romance. If you like BBC or Masterpiece Theater, but with a little bit like some steamier sex in there, definitely check out the Outlander series of books. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So let's see, Outlander, and then I also have listened to the first in the also very, very tardy to this party, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I thought was really good. I thought that I really liked the narrator for that, and I guess those are the only ones that I've listened to so far, the audiobooks. But yeah, is there anything else? Oh, we tried HelloFresh, and it's really awesome. If you haven't tried a meal delivery service, I am not being sponsored in any way by HelloFresh or any meal delivery service, and I've only tried HelloFresh. I don't necessarily recommend that one over any of the others. It just happened to be the one that we tried first. But they are very tasty meals. They really do, I think they take us a little bit more than 30 minutes. But they are super quick, super simple. Like, it's really hard to mess them up, and very tasty, and it's so convenient. I hate grocery shopping. I hate grocery shopping. And we are really bad about about food waste, and it bothers me so much. But I just have never found a way around it. But this is so awesome. It just comes right to my doorstep. It's exactly the amount of food that I need. Like the exact ingredients that I need. I don't have to buy a whole tub of sour cream just to use like 2 tablespoons or whatever. And it's so easy. So if you haven't tried a meal delivery service and you want to, yeah, try one. Let's see, anything else? Anything? Yeah, I guess that's it. I haven't been reading, and I've been watching lots of television, but nothing inspiring. Yeah, I just kind of felt a little uninspired lately, if you didn't get that from my earlier conversation. So there you go. There are some recommendations, and okay, my camera just overheated and I let it cool off for a few seconds, and I'm gonna quickly say goodbye before it overheats again. So I think that that's everything. I think I've overstayed my welcome this time. So I'm just gonna say thank you so much for watching. It is always amazing to spend time with you. And I'm super excited about the KAL, and I will let you know when I get that Ravelry group up and running. And I can't wait to see what you're gonna do. And you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, and thank you. Bye. Oh, that's funny. He's upside down. Silly bunny.